to die an unlived life. I like to leave this with you that Mama used to love to hear me say. She'd say, boy, say that thing for me, and I dedicate this to you, to the greatness that's within you, because it's there. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity. If neither cold poverty, famine, or gold, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. You have greatness in you. You have greatness. You gotta be hungry. You gotta be hungry. People that want to step into their greatness are hungry. You gotta be hungry. You gotta be hungry. To give up your time, your peace, and sleep for. If all that you dream and scheme is about it, life seems useless and worthless
to the Most High. And right about now, my boss sit down with the great man, Les Brown. He's one of my great teachers, my mentor, my father, my uncle, one of the greatest teachers out there, Les Brown. As he said, you got to be what? Hungry. And that's what Les Brown talks about. You know, and I encourage people must listen to Les Brown every day. You know, listen to for about 30 days, and trust me, life will never be the same again, because, and he's got, like, no, I have no excuse, he's got so much information on YouTube, you know, and he's someone who, to me personally, I'll always be in debt to Les Brown, because he's the one that opened my mind. And when I first saw Les Brown many years ago, I thought the man was God, because the way he come on the stage and started talking and he's dancing and doing some things. Where this man that come from? You know, I really want to know where this man that come from. But when he tells his story, what he's been through, you know, he takes it from emotion, you start to cry, he makes you laugh, and his way he tells stories, and these stories not true stories about himself, you know. And you can see why he's so successful, because he is really was determined, you know. And Les Brown says, for you to be successful, you have to prepare to do things today that others not prepared to do, so tomorrow you have the things that others won't have. So, you know, the Les Brown man. Okay then. So very shortly we're going some serious reasoning. You know? Some reasoning, and for the last 5-6 weeks we've been talking about trauma, relationship you have with your parents, see, and we talk about mental health, depression, and you know, it's really just been me one inside there, so I talk, you know what I mean? And sometimes even I'm getting bored of myself. I talk, because sometimes you talk and you can run out of steam, you know? Because I talk about the CM thing. And people say, boy, every week this brother I talk about the CM kind of thing. Well, I'm this brother, why don't you just shut up your mouth and keep yourself quiet, you know? You know, you love to talk about the CM thing. To some extent, I think people are right still, you know what I mean? But today we have some powerhouse inside there, so, see? And we're going to talk about the whole thing about well-being, depression, mental health. And also we have Leroy was here a couple of weeks ago and talking about the magic socks. We have forgot the word, the magic socks. And in fact, I think there's a sister or brother said they want some socks. So we have the socks them right here, so please make contact with us. And then we get try to get the socks them to you. If anybody wants socks, we try and get the socks them to you. See? So we have Katrina inside the host. Also, we have brother Dermot inside the host. Also, we have brother Leroy inside the host as well. Hopefully, we'll be joined by Tamra. I'm gonna give him a call a little bit later on as well. Tamra will be joining us. As you know, Tamra is a spoken word artist. And again, as I said, your mess has become your message. And he's been through a lot of stuff, but he's a beautiful brother. He's got a beautiful soul about him. See? So, lock into the big one. And we got a reason in a second.
People going to jobs that they hate. The heart said, didn't I tell you I didn't want to go? And attack them. Some of you don't want to go to work next Monday. People, all they do is border grow. Born and grown. I'm not making enough money. Born and grown. I'm unhappy with my job. 87% of people go to jobs that they hate. They hate. People, all they do is border grow. Border grow. Border grow. So the thing is this. On Monday morning, the heart attack rate increases over 35%. On Monday morning between 6 o'clock and 9. People going to jobs that they hate. The heart said, didn't I tell you I didn't want to go? And attack them. People, all they do is border grow.
My friend Tony Robbins. You forged a remarkable career, influenced people at every level, and I appreciate all the philanthropic work that you do. And a lot of it came from your ability to drive change. What is it that prevents people from doing the things they already want to do in life?
Yes.
Basic answer. I'm sorry it's so simple, but
This is the great man, Anthony Robbins.
This woman told me that I don't understand why they don't do this, why I feel this way. I said, it's called fear. Everybody's afraid we're not enough. Everybody's afraid we're not rich enough, smart enough, young enough, quick enough, fast enough. It's human nature. But the secret is to do it anyway. I know that sounds so simplistic. My work when I'm working with somebody is showing them how to condition themselves, like building a muscle, so that you take action first, automatically. Because if you don't do that, it's hard. You lose momentum. It's like, how do I get started? Where do I go? And I tell people, throw a rock, wherever it drops, start there. The next person walks by, I go, you're the first person after the rock. Do anything to start the process of moving forward rather than let fear stop you.
Emotions are a big part of this. And you spend a lot of time, because I've done your seminars, focusing on that. And you bring it down to focus, right? Language and intent.
That's right.
Walk us through those a little bit. Help us understand tactically what we do to make the change that we want in our lives happen.
Well, if somebody is, we were mentioning earlier, if somebody is really stressed out, they're not stressed out for no reason. It's because they're focusing on something that makes them feel stressed. They often, when they're focusing on it, it changes the body. You start to feel tight. You start to feel a certain way. And then they use language like, I don't know what to do. Why am I so overwhelmed? So 3 things control how you feel every moment. What you focus on, what you do with your body. If your shoulders are down, if you're breathing like, it's not hard to figure out. You're not going to be in a very resourceful state. If I take that same person and I change their body radically, I get them to talk at a different tempo. I get them to move their body differently. I've taught this for, 41 years. 3 years ago at Harvard, they did a study on power postures where they showed that if you stand like this with your hands on your hips like Superman or Wonder Woman, or if you lean back like this,
And before you know it, you wake up one day and you're behind in your dreams and your bills. Say no. So decide that you're going to take some time to work on you, that you deserve that from yourself, that your life deserves
Right.
some prime time.
Just to let people know, on Sunday, 6th of October, 2019, just go remember to mention this event here, Health, Wealth, and Heritage. That's going to take place at the Redbridge Central Library. That's Clement Road, Ilford, 1G1, 1E8. Time is from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mission only £1. There'll be loads of stuff, stores. You're looking at fashion, beauty, skincare, art design, literature, and many more. Seeing them be food and drink. And the subject matter we'll be discussing is fibroids, looking at diabetes, wills and probate, history, education. See? So, and this is organized by Association Celebration of the Black History Month with the Black Brits and Find Your Voice. So I said that's going to take place on the 6th of October. That's Sunday, 6th of October. I'll mention a bit more information about that a little bit later on. Right about now, we're going some reasoning. Is it Katrina? Katrina inside her house.
What's wrong with me? I'm not crazy.
Katrina, first thing, welcome to the radio station Bless Radio.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, that's how you been? How you feeling?
I'm all right. I'm blessed, you know.
Okay.
I got life, so I give thanks.
Okay, then, fantastic. Okay, then. Well, there's two folds we really want to talk about. We're gonna talk a bit about your book, and also we're gonna talk about your relationship with your mother.
Okay.
Yeah, and in fact, what we could do, we could spin it around still and talk about your relationship with your mother, because it kind of leads in neatly, because for the last 5 or 6 weeks we've been talking a lot about mental health, depression, and etc.
Yeah.
And one of the things we get to realize that unresolved issues with your parents, your loved one,
Yeah.
or etc., and that itself stops you from moving forward, stop getting involved in another relationship because of the relationship you have with your parents, them, or whatever, you know. And unless you've able to, well, no one's say to overcome, but to come to a realization that you to deal with it, or to let go or forgive, or whatever the case may be, you can't really move on, you know, in your life, so to speak.
Yes.
You know, life's not really could be complete, because there's always that
That barrier.
that barrier. That's the right word.
Yeah.
That barrier,
I hear you.
and so forth, right? So, I want you to spend a little bit background about yourself with your mother and how the book come about, etc.
Okay. Well, I've always wanted to write, but I didn't know what I was going to write about. And it just was one day I ended up going on to a writing course, and close to the end of the course we had like a bit of homework to do, and they said to us, you know, you can write about anything. So when I went home that night, it just kind of was like a light bulb in my head to just write about my life journey. At the time I was going through a lot of trials and tribulations, and it just felt like the right time to start writing my book.
Okay.
That's how that came to light. And then about 6 months after writing my book, I found publishers, and they was ready to publish me.
Okay then. So, the relationship with your mum,
Yeah.
how did that come about, and what was a bit of a
Connection with my book.
yeah?
Okay, so growing up, I was raised with my grandparents, and I lived in a house with my uncles and my cousin. And my mother was present, but she had me at such a young age that she still kind of lived her life. And I was raised...
Oh, she had you at a young age?
Yeah, she had me at like the age of 16, 17. So she had me quite young. But she was quite lucky that her parents were still alive, and she had older brothers.
Okay.
So she was able to still kind of live her life. So, so I was raised in quite a big household. Good times, fun times, but it was kind of a bit toxic as well, because my mum kind of was struggling with her own issues.
Okay.
Yeah, and it kind of had an impact on me when my grandmother passed away, because she was like my main rock.
Was it your grandmother?
Yeah,
Your grandmother was here?
She was here, yeah. She came over in the 1950s with my grandfather.
Okay.
And they had 2 children at the time that they came over to England with from St. Kitts. And they settled here, and then the other siblings followed. So yeah, we was raised in a nice big household. So my mum was kind of free to do what she wanted, because her mother was there, her older siblings were there, and I was well looked after. when my grandmother passed away from cancer, I think at the time I was about 9, still in primary school. It had a big impact on my mother. Now she had me full time, and she had to be a parent. My father wasn't present, so she had to raise me now. And with the loss of her mother, and then 3 months later her father passed away, it was like disaster waiting to happen. I guess she tried her best, but because of her own demons, it just had a massive knock-on effect with me. I mean, she went down a bit of a rugged road, obviously, drinking, smoking, and partying, still living her young youth. And I was free to kind of do what I wanted to do. There was no boundaries with me. So I kind of just followed suit a little bit and went a bit off the rails.
What age was that, roughly?
From about the age of 12, 13.
12, 13. Okay, then.
Yeah, I was allowed out for a long period of time, till like 11, 12. And even though I was in my community and everyone knew one another, I was still allowed out and allowed to play at a late time. Then I started venturing into smoking weed at the age of 13. And then it was alcohol. And then as I got older, it was taking cocaine and stuff like that, dabbling in things like that. Yeah.
So you went down a dark place.
Yeah, that's when, I mean, it's weird how people show love, because I believe my mother loved me, but how she showed it was like, she gave me just so much freedom. You know, never really told me off or nothing like that. So I felt unloved. I felt very, very unloved. And because of what she was going through, had a knock-on effect on me. Because I'm thinking, like, does my mother love me? Why she's not comforting me? You know, the toxic words she's saying to me.
Because basically you wanted that love, really, that comfort, that mother being there, and just mother and daughter, that kind of relationship bond. Yeah.
There was no nurturing.
No nurturing.
There was, you know.
And like you said, that's because of what she's probably gone through as well, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you explored what she's been through?
Yeah, my mum speaks openly to me, so I'm fully aware of her upbringing, and I know my grandfather was a bit of a notorious man. He was an alcoholic as well, so he had a big impact on the whole family, and he was a bit violent with it, and so that was her upbringing, and the cycle never broke.
I see what you're saying.
So it continued to me.
Yeah.
But especially as a young female, you search for love, and sometimes you end up in the wrong arms because you will search it from a man. And I'm being honest there, because no father figure, your mother is there but not there, so you're gonna run to the first person that shows you.
Because you're looking for that love, and
yes,
and times it can be very destructive. Because I mean, for example, right. That a woman, or even a man, but say a woman could be in a abusive relationship. Yeah. Right? And they will leave that abusive relationship and go into another abusive relationship. Yeah. Right? And the question asks yourself, why is it they abusive relationship to go to another abusive relationship? Because well and truly, they're looking for that kind of love, and yes, someone say there's certain things, the right thing and whatever, not knowing his motive is to abuse you or control you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
And because it's lack of love for yourself, you look for love outwards.
Yeah, you look for the wrong kind of love, you know?
And you know something I was saying that the other day, that people are really just mirrors, teach you something about yourself. So it's not about so much about them, it's something about you. Yes. Why you're tracking to yourself to those kind of people. Yeah. You know, so what is right is a lack of love within yourself. Yeah, it's and you're looking for outwards, and most
true.
people who, you know, are just speaking that can identify what you're talking about, because they can identify what you've been through, and many people have been through the same thing. Yeah. What you've been through. So what's your relationship with your mum as we're speaking right now?
We're in a much better
That's
place.
fantastic.
Yeah, it took a time, but because I'm quite an open and spoken person, I had to let her know how I felt
Yeah.
and how it had so much of an impact on my mental health and even my physical health. And I was explaining to her that, you know, how you kind of treated me made me just unlove myself, and I felt I was unworthy.
Right.
And she felt sad about it, but I was saying to her, don't blame yourself, because I understand where you've come from.
Right.
I'm breaking that cycle now, you know, and I'm being vocal about it so other people, they can relate and say, you know what, that happened, forget about it, move on. I think when we fester on it and we continue to harper on it in our minds that my mother done this to me or my father done this to me, then you become bitter.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just carry on bringing it down to the next generation and forget about it. We need to change it now. You know, we need to move forward and teach the next generation, we love you, love yourselves, you're able. And that's how I see it.
Yes, as I said, your message has become your message, and what a story, you know, or a journey, you know. And I'd imagine, well, obviously you're in the right place now, but obviously the writing has helped you to heal yourself.
Yeah, big time. I mean, it was really emotional writing the story, because there was things that got brought up that I've left way back in my mind. You know, so when I picked up the laptop, I kind of threw it down about 10 times and cried, and then I laughed. And then once I went through that transitioning of going through the tears and laughter, I looked at the book and I said yes.
And it's quite interesting because, I'll never forget this, right? I was hosting an event. This is that launching her book. It's about her story, right?
Yeah.
And she was saying that she went through quite a lot of emotional stuff, you know, writing the book. But it so happens that the guy who's helped her to write the book, him said, no, she ball. She ball. Right? He just come and said she ball because he was with her.
Yeah,
he was just writing, you know?
Yeah.
And all the stuff was coming out of her, you know what I mean? You know? He said, no,
it
sir,
helps.
she ball. You know what I mean? So
I'm telling you, it's like therapy for
Yeah,
you.
it is therapy.
It helps you.
Yeah.
You just feel like a big release, you know, so it is good. And I think even if you don't write a book, I think writing in general about your feelings is important.
You know, son, that's very true, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we got a next writing man behind us as well, you know what I mean? He would kind of will vouch for that as well, you know. And it happens that I do some work with men with mental, well, basically men just come together once a week. It's with mine. And we just come together, have a banter and talk about what we're going through and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was saying to couple people in the group there, they need to write.
Yes, 100%.
They just need to write.
Yeah.
Just need to write. Because it's healing. Just get that stuff out.
It is a big healer,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It is a sense of release, because sometimes you might not want to speak your personal business to people, but that's why people have journals, diaries, and it's a good sense of release. You know, I believe in that.
Hold on. It's behind me. I'm breathing my neck back, you know. Because I know say I have something to say about the whole thing about writing. Hey, Leroy, give the mic to my brethren, because this is the because I want to come in the whole thing about writing and
Hello.
writing and thing.
The mic's on. The
Introduce
mic's.
yourself. You're on.
My
one.
name's Dermoth-Alexander Henry, and I've been writing since 2000. And my journey has been a great one because I suffer from mental illness. But before I started writing, I couldn't read. Before I became mentally ill, I couldn't read. So it was when I became mentally ill, it was then my mind became open. And I write poetry. I also teach poetry to mental ill people and people with Alzheimer's disease. Or illness, Alzheimer's illness. And I've got a poem here, if you don't mind, I could read it.
Yeah,
Do you
man,
mind,
come in,
Dougie?
man.
Alright,
Hey,
it's
you
cool.
take liberty now, you know, Bridget. Come in, man.
It's called Two Sides of a Coin.
This is my breathe by my neck back, you know. You know, them man said, boy, I'm going to cover a poem in a minute, you know, but
I love that. I love that. I feel at home here. You know, I feel at home here. Two sides of a coin. Sophisticated in the art of writing makes me feel like I've experienced a sighting. This is not my usual topic, but somebody has to write about it. Now, a chemical imbalance in the brain is mostly classified as mentally insane, but it is a suggestion I must confess. I'm starting to write poetry at my best. Leaving school with no education, in the hope one day that I'll reach the nations. A voice to be heard from station to station, educating the nation with good information. I'm not satisfied with my situation, but I'm not going to cry I want to die, or put my hand in another man's till, then tell everybody I'm feeling ill. But with a smile on my face it's hard to erase. Sometimes I feel down, but isn't that a phase? I guess it affects the whole human race. I guess I've changed, I'm not the same. I don't feel bad over anybody to blame, because I remember going insane. Logic will tell you it's not a good thing, but something good must come from within. If you're mentally ill, don't feel dismayed. There's a lot we can do to change our ways. I've learned that whatever condition we're in, we must be on top, and we must win.
Well, that's perfect.
Brilliant.
You see, mental
That's
illness.
amazing.
To me, a doctor once said that mental illness is trauma. I said, yes, I agree with him that it's trauma, but it's a fraction of many things. A cat dying when you're young, telephone bills coming in, gas bills coming in, all at once, your mum dying, something happening in the family, trauma in the family. It's a multitude of many different things, and then all of a sudden your brain cannot take it. So then it snaps. That's what mental health is to me, anyway. I can't speak for anybody else, but that's what it is for me.
Yeah, that's true.
And Dougie.
Yeah, we continue to talk, man.
Yeah, come on.
Roll it up, man.
Yeah. So how I express mental illness, how I release myself is I don't sleep. I hardly sleep. Even last night I didn't sleep. I hardly sleep for like 2 days. Something I don't sleep for, and I'm writing and I'm writing. I'm constantly writing, because it just eases the pain. It just eases the pain, because mental illness, you don't know. It's like you're doing something, but you can't stop yourself doing it. You're gonna do something, but you can't stop yourself doing it. You understand what I'm saying, Dougie? You're doing something, you can't stop yourself doing it. It's like you want to slap somebody around the head, you just slap them around the head. You can't stop yourself doing it.
But let me jump in here, because when you talk about trauma and, you know, pressures of life and what is very true, and have you really identified the trauma with you, why you went to that kind of depression? Have you really identified?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I was in prison at the time for burglary, and I was being allocated to a nearer prison. I was in Birmingham, Nick, Winson Green Prison, one of the hardest prisons at that time in England, and I was being allocated to nearer London. So one of the screws said to me, "Listen, come on, the governor wants to see you." But I didn't know it was allocation. It was allocating me. So I said, "I'll soon come." So I was oiling my face, and he said, "Come now." So I said, "What are you talking to?" So I'm gonna tell him, you know, just F off.
Yeah.
So and he just rushed in my cell, and me and him had a fight. And then the buzzer went, and they started to beat me up. So I had to play dead. I had to play dead all the way down the stairs.
No, yes.
And then they injected me, and that was, you see, with me, it was induced upon me. It wasn't because no girlfriend or no trauma or anything like that. It was induced upon me.
Right. So it's the drugs them and
It was the drugs
and beat you and so forth.
and beat me up. Yeah,
right,
that
we
was the
understand.
trauma that I went through.
All right.
But then later on in life, I
Yeah.
realized that the more I had the drugs in my system, I can't get them out of my system.
Yes.
Because I've been on these drugs for 40 years now. for 40 years, and that's 3/4 of my life. You see what I'm saying? So I'm 58 now, and I've been on them drugs for 40 years.
Yeah. So that's a good 3/4 of your life. Yeah. Whoa. No, man. Now I get a good picture. Where you're coming from now, you know. I got a good picture, and that's why the writers gives more of a release to the pain, what you've
The pain I've been through.
See,
You know. And sometimes, you know, when somebody says to you, you know, being mentally ill, and somebody says to you, "Are you all right?" It makes you feel sick to know somebody's saying to you all the time, "Are you all right? Are you all right? Are you all right?" You don't want to hear that because you feel like you're all right. But the thing with mental illness, sometimes you don't know when you're getting ill. You don't know when you're getting ill. Somebody has to point it out to you. And when they point it out to you, you fight against that and say, "No, I'm all right, man. I'm all right." So there's two all rights. You know, are you all right and you're good? And that means, so me good. Me good, but all right? No, sir, me not all right. I suffer from mental illness. But me good.
Okay then. Leroy, feel free to come in and come in when you're ready for coming still, you know. But it's quite interesting how the reasoning going, because it's like you've identified the trauma, because that's heavy, you know, getting beaten and then if I inject you, you know, that itself will, you know, will turn you off, can inject you, all this kind of stuff, you know, will kind of will turn you. And it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Well, I'll come at you in a minute, Dermot. Leroy, you have anything you want to comment on?
Yeah, I just thanks for sharing that. And the poem was awesome. And it kind of reminds me of my friend Mervyn Barrett. And he when he was doing some coaching sessions, he would talk about writing being a superpower that a lot of people don't tap into. And it really kind of struck me, like how in a couple of cases, and what Katrina just said, you know, we're taught, and I've been to many seminars and different events, and one thing that they always try and get you to address is things that may have happened to you. I mean, we all go through things in life, but it's how we react to that, okay? And that's the difference for a lot of people on how, you know, you have two people in a room, two brothers, two sisters, lived in the same household, but their interpretation of what happened are completely different. And you're like, weird, you was in the same house as me? That wasn't the series of events. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And so your mind is so powerful, that most of us never really touch on that. You know what I'm saying? We never really touch on the things that it can do. And yet it could stop us at the first hurdle in life. But again, it starts there, and for most people, for a lot of people that I've come across, especially in business, you know, any challenge that they may face, that's it. They don't want to go to the next level.
Sorry, Leroy. We've got someone on the line here.
Okay.
Greetings. Leon. No, the live link's not working. Oh, it's not this one, Leon. Oh, Greetings.
Hello?
Yes, sorry. Now we got you. You all right?
Huh?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. 1 minute though. 1 minute. I need to put these headphones in.
All right then. All right. You good? All right, I think it's just trying to change the so
Change
what?
the oil.
So Leroy, if you want to finish the point you was making earlier on?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
Just real quick. That you know, it's the mind plays such a vital role in everything. You know, whether we decide to move forward or not. And so, you know, how Dermot just talked about how he, ended up in the situation that he did wasn't through necessarily a trauma per se, but through a deliberate means. And I think this is a mess. I mean, we know mental health is a massive area, especially in our community. And I suppose we could talk about that all day. And based on what we're seeing, and the fact that so many, especially black men, are in that situation. I know you've obviously had a whole workshop and an event on that, and subsequent events. But yeah, it's really, I think it's key that we do write, that we do express ourselves in one way or the other. And this is kind of the point I was kind of coming around to, in the fact that they always tell us to examine that area of our lives, and a lot of times we don't want to go there.
So, thank you. Kinso, you there? Kinso. Look like we've... Kinso? All right, don't know what's happening there. He's still there, though. We're not current there. Pick him up. Kinso? All right, there. I have to take him off. All right. Kinso? Okay, he's not there. All right, then. My sister, you want to add anything what's been said?
Yeah, I think that what Dermot said earlier, and Leroy said that about the mental health, yes, it can be through trauma or a traumatic event, but it can also stem from this incident that happened with you. So it is different scenarios or different things that can happen. And I think once we acknowledge where it stems from, like you've come from your situation and you've overcome it, you've written your book and you said that you was unable to read prior, it's a big achievement in itself. So I do believe that you can overcome it once you rectify it, go there, understand what the problem is, and then move on from there. Because when they diagnosed me when I was 16 with depression, I said to them, no way. And I refused to take tablets. That's why I say depression is an illusion of the mind. Because I believe that I knew what my circumstances were. And that's why I felt the way that I did. Not saying that you cannot take your tablets and things like that, because people have different scales of where depression is. Yeah. But I believe that when you rectify and understand the situation, it can always turn out positive.
Okay then. Kids, if you're listening right now, please try again. I don't know what happened there. And please, anybody wants to phone and make a contribution, feel free to do that. Please. So what I'm gonna do, let me just play this.
Dougie, you want to give out the phone number to dial in?
Yeah, read out that number for me. Behind read out that number. Read that number.
On the flyer?
Yeah.
079 444 31366. So to dial in is 079 444 31366.
For our lives, our careers, our families, and our relationships. However, for most of us, it is difficult to experience the happiness we seek. In this film, you will learn about fundamental patterns that drive human behavior and control our relationships. We begin our story with Anthony Robbins speaking at a conference before 3,000 people. In order to show how quickly people can change their emotions, he asks for a show of hands from people who suffer from depression. Tani is an attractive, intelligent young woman who uses depression to get sympathy and love. However, she gets caught up in the idea of being depressed and ends up feeling unhappy and alienating those around her. Using human needs psychology, Robbins will elucidate how Tani's emotional patterns function to bring on suffering. By clarifying these core emotional patterns, Tani is able to develop the self-awareness necessary to avoid using depression and instead to make bold new decisions. Today, she lives a radically different life that makes her proud. Robbins will first demonstrate the principle of the triad. All behaviors, including emotions, are made up of three elements working together. Patterns of physiology and posture influence your biochemical state and thus your emotions. Patterns of mental focus determine how you experience the world. And thirdly, patterns of language control the way you express and represent your experience to yourself and to others. These three, physiology, focus, and language, create the meanings that determine the way we experience our life. In order to be depressed, a person must assume a certain posture, focus on certain specific things, and use certain specific language patterns that lead to depression. Robbins will begin by asking Tani to deliberately put herself into a state of depression so that the audience can see what patterns of physiology, focus, and language are necessary for her to feel depressed.
Okay, where's the lady right here who just raised her hand? I just saw it. Yes, ma'am. Would you stand up for a moment? What's your name? Tani. Can we get a microphone for Tani? Now, you don't look very depressed right now. Are you really depressed right now?
Yeah.
You are. I see. How depressed are you on a 0 to 10 scale? 10 is totally depressed, want to kill yourself. 0 is not depressed at all.
About an 8.
About an 8. Interesting.
About an 8.
And you're feeling that right now?
Actually, I'm doing pretty good since I've been here.
Yeah, you're doing better right now. How many saw she was not depressed just now? Let me see a show of hands if you saw it. Okay. But you could get there if you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Right now, you're not actually depressed. What are you feeling right now?
Hopeful.
He's one of the most respected life and business strategists in the world and has transformed the lives of some of the most powerful people in our society. Today, he's sharing his lessons of success with you. Joining me now, my friend Tony Robbins. You've forged a remarkable career, influenced people at every level, and I appreciate all the philanthropic work that you do. And a lot of it came from your ability to drive change. What is it that prevents people from doing the things they already want to do in life?
The most basic answer, I'm sorry it's so simple, but it's true, it's fear. You know, people make it this complex process. This woman was telling me that, I don't understand why they don't do this, why I feel this way. I said, it's called fear. Everybody's afraid we're not enough. Everybody's afraid we're not rich enough, smart enough, young enough, quick enough, fast enough. It's human nature. But the secret is to do it anyway. I know that sounds so simplistic. My work when I'm working with somebody is showing how to condition themselves, like building a muscle, so that you take action first, automatically. Because if you don't do that, it's hard. You lose momentum. It's like, how do I get started? Where do I go? And I tell people, throw a rock, wherever it drops, start there. The next person walks by, I go, you're the first person after the rock. Do anything to start the process of moving forward rather than let fear stop you.
Emotions are a big part of this. And you spend a lot of time, because I've done your stuff.
When depression came, I didn't see the past in my life had caught up with me. The violent abuse I suffered as a child, my uni education that had been denied, so many things I'd suppressed inside, with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, in a pitch black tunnel with no light in sight. Depression came like a thief in the night. Don't know if it came from the left or the right, but in denial, I put up a fight with coke and alcohol abuse to make things right. My appetite for business and money was gone. Life became devoid of fun. A good woman was needed, but I couldn't find none. My chances were 1,000,000,000,000 to 1. As suicidal thoughts came along, it took much more than just being strong against a thing so forceful, not so easy to overcome. Alcohol and cocaine, they were the enemy and not my friends. But way back then, I didn't comprehend, as they anesthetized the pain, anger and torment. to forget the years of betrayal from family and friends, and women who came for financial gain. Massive burglaries I suffered again and again, feeling like an outcast with a million friends. Committing murder appeared to be justified after the way that I'd been crucified, but somehow God kept me off that path, because only God could abate my wrath. Because only God could abate my wrath. The absence of light. As I slipped into the darkness at the dawn, in boxes only by the riverbank, yet somehow I never jumped in. Although the voice that beckoned me from the water was enchantingly convincing. As trains came into the station, my back was glued to the wall, so I wouldn't fall or dive, thus keeping myself alive. I was hanging by a thread instead of a rope. My mortality clung to a glimmer of hope. I wasn't that innocent, having brutalized men and women for pride and money, let down God Almighty, myself, friends and family, and many members of society. Remorse, resentment, regret, guilt, and shame were feelings and emotions that have no name, that which I can never, ever explain. Accepting life on life's terms gave me the balance and gave me the peace I needed for the power of love to be released, as self-centeredness gradually became deceased. Cleansed with confession and forgiveness, I was no more a prisoner of the past. Now became the only place to be, with the future always looking bright. Now I know that darkness is always the absence of light. I repeat, now I know that darkness is always the absence of light.
A political statement. I'm saying that gets in the way of relationship. If we're going to connect, we got to not make ourselves significant. We got to find out what's significant in the other person and honor it.
Then there's the one that really is important, which is growth versus contribution. And this one always caught me off guard, because unlike the other ones, you have more of one, you get a little less of the other oftentimes. But when I contribute, when I give to you, I actually grow.
That's right.
Teach me that.
Okay, folks, this is going to be one of my favorite segments right here. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to turn your life around, but you're stuck? Have you been struggling to make ends meet and can't seem to find a way? That's a big problem out there today. Well, my next guest has answers and a lot of secrets to breaking through. She is a 6-time best-selling author, one of the most sought-after motivational speakers out there. She's a millionaire entrepreneur, and she is a true inspiration. Please welcome my friend, Lisa Nichols. Hey, Lisa. Hey, darling. How you feeling?
Nice to see you.
Good.
I'm wonderful.
This is great for you. What's been your biggest accomplishment, you think?
Bouncing back, number one, is refusing to listen to the negative chatter in my own head, refusing to listen to other people's perception of me, creating something from absolutely nothing. So I got to, you know, there's the books, there's the TV, there's all that stuff. But my biggest accomplishment is being willing to give myself 1,000 second chances. And every time I got to 999, I pressed reset.
Yeah.
I didn't ask permission, I gave notice. Yeah. At some point, I have to stop asking, can I be great? Can I be brilliant? Can I be okay and still be accepted? I just stopped asking permission and just gave notice unapologetically, and not in a braggadocious way, not in a way that shrunk anyone else, in a way that said, I only got one life, and I'm gonna ride this one till the wheels fall off. And then all the other stuff came.
Wow.
As a result of a decision I made.
Right, but it was a decision.
It was a decision, but it didn't come from, you know, a motivational experience. It didn't come from an inspiring teacher. It came from hitting rock bottom.
Okay, let's talk about that, because this was the thing that when you and I were talking that really struck me, because I had been there, and I just wanted to hear how you had turned it around, because you can be rock bottom and turn it around. That's the best turnaround, because at rock bottom, hell ain't no other way to go.
Right.
You got to go up, so that's a great time. You climbed to the top. Tell everybody about this journey.
I struggled all through school. The last time I took English class, I got a fail. And my English teacher said I was the weakest writer she ever met in her entire life. The last time I took a speech class, same year, I got a D- in speech, and my speech teacher said, Lisa, quote unquote, I recommend you never speak in public, that you get a desk job. So that was the beginning of my life. That was my 19-year-old experience. And then I go on and I'm trying to figure it out. I was obedient. I went and got a job in accounting. I was in the collection department for 7 years. Y'all don't know I'm dangerous to accounting. I'm just dangerous. And I'm in collections, and you know, you should never put a broke person in collections. Never, because everybody's reasons sound good to me. I know it sounds funny, but it was real. Not only did I say, girl, don't you worry about paying that, I'm gonna take your name off the list. Somebody went to jail because I was in I got fired from 5 different jobs. Yeah. And then I got pregnant with my son unexpectedly. And then at 8 months, my son's father went to prison. I had to get on government's assistance to have my baby. I was on WIC, Women, Infant, and Children, to feed my child. And when my son was 8 months old, I went to the ATM to get $20 out the bank because I didn't have any Pampers for him. And in order to get $20 out, you got to add $20 in. I had $11.42. And I still can't tell the story without getting emotional because it's my story. Mm-hmm. Yeah. For 2 days, I had to wrap my son in a towel. But something happened, Steve, in those 2 days. I was at rock bottom. I was broke, and I was broken. Inglewood, California. My son laying on his back at 8 months. I have a towel over him, and I have my hand on his stomach saying, don't you worry, Jaylani. Mommy will never be this broke again. And I made a decision. I was bankrupt. And every stinking thinking I had, I was bankrupt in trying to protect my pride. I was bankrupt in trying to be all that in a bag of chips and a bowl of grits, falsified. Mm-hmm. I was bankrupt in trying to not ask anyone for help. I was bankrupt in everything that was holding me and keeping me where I was. Mm-hmm. I've always talked a good game, but I wasn't doing anything with my gift. Mm-hmm. And all that thing about potential, I was tired of having potential. I wanted to have my now. And I looked at that baby at 8 months, and I said, I want to transform your life, because you didn't ask to come into this chaos.
Come on.
As an African-American male child in South Central Los Angeles with a single mother whose father's in prison, he had a 66% chance of going to prison himself. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. So if I have to be willing to drastically transform myself so that I can become the woman that I know I can be. Right. And that's what I began to do. I was radical.
What did you do, Lisa? What did you do to change your life?
First, I realized I couldn't grow with people who were struggling like me. That whole, I don't want to leave nobody behind. No, I don't want to stay with y'all.
Right.
You don't even want to be here. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be the queen of this block.
Yeah.
And I became okay with the fact that it doesn't make me any less committed to my community, committed to my culture, committed to my family. The best thing I can do for you is not stay here with you.
That's right.
When I got that, I went to places I'd never seen before. I went to conferences where people were talking about money, talking about prosperity, talking about It was like no habla español. What y'all talking about? ROIs and PPMs and term agreements and capital fundraising and bottom lines and what is it? I'm going to stay until I learn what you're talking about. I went to the same conference 42 times. And there I raised $532,000 in capital for my company to start my dream. And my dream was to transform teen lives. I want to teach teens how to fall madly in love with themselves and how to make integrity-based decisions. And I got it funded, and I started working. And that was the beginning of me rescuing myself. I realized that I am my rescue. No one else is my rescue. I am my rescue.
That is, see, my daddy's famous line to me was, the best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them.
Right.
He said that was all. It was just third grade education. Best thing you can do for poor people, boy, is not be one of them. I got to do something if I want to go back to effectively change some people's lives.
Right.
Now, you have been known for helping people break through. Explain how this is done or what you do exactly.
Well, first of all, you have to recognize, and this is the part where people resist.
Hello?
Greetings.
Yes, greetings.
Okay, we can hear you clearly now.
Okay, good.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, then we do have Dr. Kinsu on the line. And it's good to have you with us, Kinsu. I know you've done a lot of work and everything about...
I haven't been able to tune in, so I haven't heard any of the discussion.
Oh, okay then. Well, all right, what we're going to do then, my sister, you want to talk about what you talked about earlier on in terms of relationship with your mom, etc.?
Okay.
Can you hear the sister?
Yeah, in the distant. Yes.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, yes, greetings.
Okay.
Raise your voice a bit more,
Yeah. Okay, so my name's Katrina Cassandra Newman. I'm the author of the book, God's Gift, The Love of a Mother. My book is a representation of me and my mother's relationship and me growing up in a kind of a toxic household and the impact that it kind of had on my upbringing. My mother had me at a young age, so she kind of just lived her life. I was raised by my grandparents and my uncles and my cousin, so I lived in quite a big household, and my mum was still freely to do what she wanted. But when my grandmother died, when I was about 8-9 years of age, I had to live with my mum full time. And that's where the kind of notorious situation started with me and my mum, where she was drinking, smoking, having people in the home. I was free to do what I wanted, and then I kind of followed suit in the same pattern. It wasn't till I started taking stronger narcotics, which is like cocaine, and I started to spiral out of control, forget who I was as a person, had no self-love, no self-worth, was doing all kinds of things that was not, correct at all. And I really didn't have a guidance in it. I was just able to do what I wanted to do. And I felt really, really unloved by my mother. And I was, my father wasn't present as well. So that had a big impact on me. And it wasn't till later on, I had a few incidents. I was involved in a car crash. I took multiple drugs one night where I nearly ended up meeting my maker. I'd done a few things, and then it was just one day I just said I had enough of this. In my hearts of hearts, I didn't want to be like that, but I tried to find some escapism. I just wanted to escape from it, and it was like drinking, drugs and partying, and men was the way forward for me. But every time I'd done it, I would cry sometimes. I'd feel really guilty about myself because I knew in my hearts of hearts that's not who I was. I was very bitter for a long time about my parents, both of them, mother and father. And I thought, why did you bring me in this world to just abandon me or, put me in this situation? And then it wasn't till I got older and I could understand my mother's struggle and my father's struggle. And then I realized the cycle continued with them and it filtered down to me. And then they started speaking of their life journey and their experiences, which made me a bit more easy-hearted on them. And then I realized, you know what, I've got to forgive myself. I've got to ask God to forgive my mother and my father. And this is the only way I can move forward. The power of prayer, I believe in 100%. And God has just walked with me from the time I've been born up until this present time, which has been able for me to have a decent and a good relationship with my mother and my father. I turn bitterness into love. And the love that I pour into my mother and my father has changed them to see life and things differently.
Wow. Yeah, Dougie.
Yeah.
just definitely just rolling out everything I've been saying. Definitely. And even to see the last bit you said there is really toxic.
Yeah.
That you have basically made them, you've helped them deal with some unresolved issues.
Same.
Yes.
You know, and that's powerful. That's what the children are here for. Let me ask you, you said one of the questions was, why did they bring you into the world?
Yeah, I mean,
So have you answered that now?
Pardon me?
Have you found the answer for that now?
Yeah, I found the answer.
Yeah.
I just believe that I'm a gift from God. My purpose is to be here. There's a purpose for everybody. And, I believe that everyone's born for a reason. My mother said to me I wasn't the problem. Obviously, she had her issues. And, I just believe that my purpose is to help and to guide. And I believe I had to go through that journey for me to be where I am today to help others.
Yeah, well, most definitely. You see, obviously we're here, you know, and life is a very, very, you know, potent and valuable thing that a lot of us haven't really got into properly yet.
Yeah.
So just that in itself, just life, you know, has a whole heap of meaning.
Yeah.
So do you put it down to the multi-generational? I heard some of that in what you were saying. Multi-generational trauma, if you like.
Yeah. I believe that it was filtered down from our, like history and slavery, whatever, down to the grandparents. And it just continued with them. But I always just thought in my head, this is wrong. I just thought this is wrong and I have to break it. And I'm a mother now. And when I look at my daughter, she's 7 years of age. She depends on me so much. And when she looks at me and says, Mum, I'm proud of you, my heart melts. I say, you know what, I'm doing something right. I'm not rich in money, but I'm rich in love. And I give her everything, you know, and that to me is the biggest blessing that I've been able to have life because of my parents. And then I've been able to produce life and the life will continue and I'm breaking the cycle. And that just made me love even more. Everybody. I love everybody.
Yeah. Because see, the message what you have there, you know, is really what we need to really put out there is that you see a lot of things that are going on. Let's say it's not just black community, not just black parenting, but let's say, you know, let's hold it there for the minute.
Yeah.
What you described there, most people could see it wasn't normal when you're talking about drugs and neglect and so forth.
Yeah.
But there's certain levels of parenting that is very neglectful and inadequate amongst the black community. You see?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you would agree that I'm sure you can relate that once this disease, if you like, takes your mind, like you said, you lose it completely. And I tell you, there's no decision, there's no decision that you make is really copacetic.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
No decision.
100%,
because it all goes back to the traumatic state your mind is in, yeah?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's where you make bad decisions
Sorry?
That's where you make bad decisions when you've got a traumatic mindset.
At the end of the day, you know, it's your brain. So every decision you make is going to be governed by that traumatic position you're in.
Yeah. And you attract.
That's the message. Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry to cut you. When you are in that mind state, you attract that same energy.
Oh, definitely.
You know, the energy is mad. And you think to yourself, like, why is this happening? Why is that happening? But you're that way inclined, you know. So
my sister, you can't attract nothing else. There's a saying that says you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are,
yes,
or what you are.
Yes.
It's called the human magnet syndrome. Your partners, everybody, work colleagues, everybody, you're going to attract it all day long.
It's true, you know, because that's when I ended up going into some serious toxic relationships, you know, not out of love, but because of the way that I was thinking. And they tell me the sweetest thing. And me fall and me drop for it. Them when we get in a relationship, I'm like, hold on a minute. That's not what you said last week. You know what I mean? So all of that is just a part of the learning journey, you know. And I give thanks for that, because now when the angel comes to me, I'll know it's an angel.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's so true, because you see, we're needy. When we're in these situations, we're too needy.
Yes, it's true.
And it's just true. We're actually looking for mommy or daddy love.
Yeah.
So when you see, in your case, you see the man. In my case, I see the woman.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's mommy. You're like, that's daddy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
That's so true.
And we fall in love.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, this is what we need to understand. I mean, and then what happens is 2 months, 6 months later, you know, it falls apart. Big row, because you're expecting, you got unrealistic expectations, because you can never get mummy love from out the street or daddy love from out the street.
But you can't get mummy love from your wife.
That's
or you
right.
can't get
that's
a father's
good.
love from your husband, because you are marrying a husband, not a father. And
that's right.
This is what we seem to forget, you know. We got our emotions attached.
So right, so true. Yeah, man, it's important. It's a brilliant message you got there. So your book is explaining all of that.
All of that, and the positive side as well, is where I've overcome certain things, and just life in general.
Yes, definitely. Because the journey, I mean, have you spoke? What kind of remedy or solutions remedial work did you approach? Or have you therapy?
I've gone to counselling, therapy. I must admit, it helped when I spoke about it, but it didn't resolve the problem. I had to look deep inside myself. And I really had to look at who I was and what am I doing with myself. And that helped when I went back to speak to the counsellor now, and I explained, you know, this is how I feel. And then she relayed, okay, so we can move forward now, you know. But every time I was going, when I felt really bad, I was coming out worse.
Yeah.
So I think it stems from within, and then everything else works from there.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to jump in there, sir. I want to jump in there, sir, because real sales I feel rise up now a little bit now. And my reason with man called Dr. Kinso. So
Kenzo is the name, no doctor. No
all right. Sorry, Kinso. Sorry. Right? Because I don't see no one fair. All right. So, Kinso, when she talk about she had to go deep in herself, right? Because she was reasoning to do some counseling, and it helped her to a point, but she had to go deep in herself. I mean, as someone's done a lot of work, right, in that particular area, what was it she was able to look deep within herself? Because one thing you said, you have to really close your eyes and shut yourself off and deal with the pain. But I want if you just go into that. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't know too much about the sister's journey, but at the end of the day, definitely confronted the pain. You see, and that's the point I've been, expressing. She had to confront the pain, which is what was going on. Basically, you got to confront what's going on. And she had to confront what's going on, and from there, in my experience and understanding, when you sit with the pain with an awareness, you sink deep, you sink into a depth of awareness, self-awareness that you would not reach to in any other situation. You see, so that's what pain is an emotion of life. It's a natural emotion, but a lot of us, we run away from it. So, whichever way you do it, you have to really. You can't. If you run away from the pain, you're just sweeping it under the rug, and the problem will persist. And the sister can probably relate to that, because there's times when we have pushed it away and cracked on and carry on until, like she explained, until she got to a certain point, and then, it just kind of stuff hit the fan, and it's like, well, you know, I've got to look at this properly. And that's what it's all about, looking at our situation. Like I say, in order to qualify as a human being, we have to deal with our pains and our tribulations openly and courageously. That's what a human being is. You know?
Yeah. Can I just say something there? So,
Sure.
how I actually dealt with it was, to start off with, I wrote my father a letter.
Yes, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
I wrote him a
That's right.
letter, and I went in depth about how I felt, how
That's
he
right.
treated me. And he came to me, and he opened
Right.
up. And then after, I sat my mum down. That was the start of me
Brilliant.
dealing with the
Brilliant.
trauma, because they was the ones, to me, that caused the pain. So I had to go back to where I'm angry, to where I'm bitter.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's right.
And I
That's right.
faced it. That was the opening of the
letter. I
door.
could imagine writing a letter. I've written letters like that to my mother was deceased, my father that's deceased.
Yeah.
You know, and even writing a letter at that stage was painful.
Yes.
But, you know, relieving. You see what I'm saying? Even
Yeah.
at that stage. So I could imagine, you know.
It's
definitely,
important. I
commend
think
that.
it's important.
Yeah. See,
Definitely.
those are the works we got to do, Dougie. Those are the works we got to do. This is all looking within. You know, this is looking in the mirror. This is you, you know. This is life. This is your life. You got to look at your life, not out there at
Yeah.
other people, because we always blame other people. We put the plasters on the mirror, like I like to
Yes.
say. We put the bandage on the mirror. So that we put the bandage on ourselves, we give the medicine to someone else.
Yeah, for real.
We blame the blame game, but what she's done there, she realized that, you know what, it comes back here. And you got to start looking within. And
Yeah,
that's what
and
we
you got
all
to take
need do.
sorry to cut ya. And I took a
Sure.
bit of responsibility, because I did make my
Definitely.
choices.
Definitely.
You know, dealt with
There's
the
no
pain.
power without responsibility.
Yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, you took responsibility. That's the key. That's the key. You responded to your ability.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. And that's what it's about. But, you know, what's happening I don't want to target the black community, but what's happening, you know, there's a lot of blame. There's a lot of apportioning blame and displacement of responsibility going on. You know, and that's why we're not going anywhere, and we keep saying that we're not going anywhere, and we need unity, and we need this, and we need that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I said to you, like you agree with make the decisions you make.
Yeah.
And this is the key, Dougie. The decisions, what you make while you're in that traumatic state, are all based on trauma and escapism.
Yes.
You're trying to escape, so you drink, you take drugs, you take, you smoke, you know, like you mentioned, the partners and so forth. But there's also other things in society, like I've mentioned before, doctrines that you subscribe to, mindsets, dogmas. Yeah?
Yeah.
And different places you enter, they're all part of your seeking an escape too. You're seeking escape. Everything's down to escape. It's like your house is on fire. Your house is on fire. You're gonna run away, and it is, you know, there's so many things that shut down. Basically, your common sense, your intelligence shuts down.
Right. But let me just jump in there, Kinsu. So when you say that as a community, we tend to blame and we're not taking responsibility, I wonder if you can just go into that a bit more and give some light into you know, your reasoning behind that, because that's quite interesting what you just said there.
Well, I mean, we've said that before. I mean, you see, all right. I think even the other day we mentioned it. I mean, every that's why I asked the sister, like, the question she asked when she was speaking. She said that one of the questions was like, why have they brought me into this life? Because that is a genuine, fair question. Because when you're going through a situation, you're like, why have they brought me here? What, you know, you can't understand. So that's why I asked her. She found the answer. You know, because it's important to know the answer, because then you start to you know, you're definitely eradicating blame. You're starting to take responsibility. You understand that you're here for a reason. So, and everything you went through was for a reason. So, like, when you mentioned, when she speaks about all that trauma, all of that trauma plays a role in her life, in bringing her to this position right here. Are we not hearing that? Everything she went through brings her to this position where she is. So what's she doing now? She's like, when I speak about the caterpillar, she's rising up out of the hibernation, now as a butterfly
Seed.
to go and sprout new seeds
Yeah.
of life for others to grow from.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the caterpillar does. That's the caterpillar's journey. It parallels the human journey. So that's what basically what's happening there. All of those components and ingredients of our life are very relevant. Yeah, and but at the time we're going through them, we can't see it like this. You know, we can't see it like this. But at the end of the day, if she had regret of any of those situations, for example, right? And there may not be, but then at the end of the day, you can't. If she went back and tried to erase even one of those situations that took place, right? Hear me clearly. If you went back and tried to erase even one of those situations, then would she be able to glorify the position she's in right now?
No, she wouldn't have to do that. No.
No. So what? So now we've reached here. What do we want? You see, do we want the person we are now, or do we want? You understand? It's a bit of a hypothetical question, but you see what I'm saying? You see, but we only understand it when we get to here. So the point I'm saying is that it goes back to the pain. Pain has a very relevant purpose in our life. It's an emotion, a natural emotion.
Yes.
It takes us to depth. This is the key. Because if you sit with it or confront it, it takes you to a depth you could never go in other situations. To a depth about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't we all want to go into depth of ourselves?
So would you say then that pain to some extent, or what you saying that it's really teaching about yourself?
Of course, everything in life, every single stepping stone is about yourself. What else could it be?
Yeah, for me say that you know what you're talking about. No, yeah.
Everything is about yourself. But you see, the sister's giving you a great example of what I've been saying.
Yes.
You see, it's a great example because now she reached this point, she can embrace all of her life.
Yes.
But you see, there's a time when we're going through life, we don't embrace it all. We shun it. I've done it. We do because it's hard and hectic and we don't understand it.
Yeah.
But when you get to a certain point, it's just the journey of the caterpillar. I like to parallel it again. You know, so there's a time when you're in hiding. Maybe there was a time when you didn't even want people to know what you was going through, sis.
Yeah.
It's true.
You don't want to face it.
You don't
want to face the reality.
You're
So
hiding,
you do.
it's shame, you're hiding.
Yeah. You shun away from it, you know?
That's the hiding, that's the hibernation. But then you get to a point, look where she's at now, look how she can speak her truth. That's what courage is.
You can't shut me up.
Well said.
Amen.
Well said.
Amen to that.
Well said.
And listen, I mean, before we go any further, we have to connect. So, you know, I'll leave my number because I'm just about to embark on this journey. In the last 2 years, I've been submerged in confronting my trauma. And now, as a holistic practitioner before that, I've combined everything. I've gone into psychotherapy now, and I'm pushing forward with all of this in a very strong way.
Oh, wow.
You see?
Brilliant.
So
well done.
Let's connect, you know. So I'm going to be doing a lot of writing and so forth and, you know, and teaching and talking on it. So a whole lot of stuff. So I definitely want to copy your book.
Yeah. We'll meet, definitely. That was a good conversation, man, and thank you for that.
No
I
problem.
appreciate that.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, then. So, Kinso, give thanks for the reasoning. Could we go about another 20 minutes? No,
man, that's cool.
Go back just over half an hour.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't call in earlier. It was
No problem. But where you bouncing with us, it's like music to the ears and the energy, man. It's just powerful.
Yeah. All right. Sister gonna be at the event. You're gonna be at the event.
You know about the event?
Oh, yeah, I will try my best to get there.
Because he'll be speaking on that.
Yes, come down there, please.
Yeah, he'll be speaking.
Yeah, I
bring
will.
Your book down there, innit? Bring your book down there. We'll sell some copies, man.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna look at that, and I'll try my best to get there.
Okay, then.
Thank you.
Kinso, give thanks again, yeah?
Yeah, man. All right, take care.
All right, then.
Blessings.
One love.
Respect. Yeah.
Okay, then. Kinso just coming lightning and thunder. Just coming from us. Right. That was Kinso. I just realized I might get carried away because I myself 2 months for interview. I think, right? So what we gonna do now, sis?
Should I change seats?
Yeah, just make Dermot come in upon us. Dermot, come in upon us, Dermot. We want to the mic. Yeah. You can speak into. So Dermot, you have a poem there, sir?
Yeah, I got a poem here.
All right then. Speak to the mic, Dermot.
All right. This poem was about, it's called Unseen Danger. Now, the reason why I wrote this poem was because my first wife's friend had a friend that her son was playing with another guy outside, and the other guy pushed her son into the window and into a shop window, and a glass nearly cut into his jugular. So I called it Unseen Danger, because with me the unseen danger was mental illness, but with him the unseen danger was the fact that he nearly got cut in his jugular just playing. So I called it Unseen Danger. Why, when the end I would near, the unseen danger would suddenly appear. A degree of insanity for one to bear is much, much pain and many a tear. Impartially impaired, the brain so severe, it's not something I condone, it's something I fear. Things I regret so plain to see, all things done good just couldn't be me. With no time on my side, how could I win? The brain so oppressed and divided within. If I could reverse time, my mission would be to embrace the emotions that were feeble to me. The path I remember so clear long ago, the mind unbruised with time to lose. My mind has lapsed into a gear unknown. Had it been first, I would know there's a third. Let me explain my thoughts, the thoughts I feel. I want to be me, I want to be free. Things that I find so beneficial to me have slipped my grasp and now gone free. All my work has time erased, articulated knowledge unfathomable to see. Gone, gone, just couldn't be me. What secret thing do I desire? Not to fall from grace, but to be closer to him who is higher. Completely oblivious, my smile once so sweet. With feet on the ground, I stood so neat. When looking from a distance, I'm physically unique. But when mind in turmoil, I'm truly oblique. Just a mirage of someone incomplete. I hope to know the master's plan. Give me now and I'll understand. Bitter this world has become to me. Obstruction, frustration in all liberty. What fraction of sleep would I care to have? Sleep taken away by fears of nightmares. To grasp the future and what it would hold, I'd have to be strong and I'd have to be bold. Sometimes I consider my life to be lost in my mind of unconscious deeds, with no controls of my actions if be, but far beyond my capacity and needs. An impulse that brings reactions, you see, inexcusable behavior, mental disorder, by depression by name, bipolar by nature. Thank you.
Give thanks, man. Give thanks. Well, we know he's a very talented individual.
That's in my book, by the way, called Until the Ghost Within.
Where can we get the book from?
You can buy it online. You can buy it at W.H. Smith, Waterstone. You can Google it, eBay it. Just all you got to put is Dermoth, D-E-R-M-O-T-H, D-E-R-M-O-T-H, and my whole name comes up. Alexander Henry comes up, because apparently there's only a couple of people with my name with a H at the end. It's Dermoth, but my name's Dermoth, D-E-R-M-O-T-H. So there's only a couple of people in the world with my name.
Okay then. Earlier on, you did mention, I don't mention here, but you said that from an early age, well, you mentioned that through prison, they beat you and they inject you, and through that now that kind of trigger off, trigger off, but also they inflicted that on you and resolved that. That caused all the thing about depression and mental health. But how are you coping with your mood swing now? I mean,
well, you know something, I'm taking injections plus medication because you see, when I first became mentally ill, when they first pushed mental illness, induced mental illness upon me, I couldn't accept it.
Right.
I just couldn't accept it. And then after years of going in and out of hospital, I realized that this medication is going to keep me out of hospital. This medication, because as I said, why when the end I would near the end of 10 years, for 10 years I was out of hospital. Why when the end I would near, the unseen danger would suddenly appear. A degree of insanity for one to bear is much pain and many a tear. Impartially impaired, the brain so severe. It's not something I condone, it's something I fear. So what I'm trying to say is that for 10 years I was out of hospital, married to my first wife, living a life, you know what I mean? And then next minute, bam, unseen danger.
Just lick you, yeah?
It just licked me.
Okay then.
You know, like a ton of bricks.
Right.
Like and then I said to myself, you know, you got to be on medication. You got to be on medication because you can't afford to. I mean, I love ganja. Not to say I would smoke it again, but I love ganja.
Yeah.
But I cannot handle it.
Yeah.
So I don't smoke it. Even if somebody's in the room smoking ganja,
Yeah.
I refuse to smoke ganja.
Yeah.
I refuse to smoke.
Yeah.
And I'm very sensitive.
See.
Very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
I'll show you how sensitive I am. In 1981, January the 17th, 1981, my friend, we was round a friend's house. All 6 of us was round a friend's house. And we was all round there. We was joking, laughing, drinking and everything like that. And there was a knock at the door. And the person who owned the house, his cousins came down from Rugby to go to a party, the New Cross party.
New Cross fire, yeah.
Where the fire was.
Yeah, New Cross fire.
So they went to go to a party. And one of them that left something behind. Now, I don't want to say, can I say it?
No,
left some ganja behind.
Yeah. Tie right, man.
In the ashtray.
All right then,
in the ashtray.
Yeah.
But he didn't give it to anybody.
Yeah.
So all night for 3 hours, this is how sensitive I am.
Yeah.
For 3 hours, I debated about why would he leave Rugby and leave a ganja in the ashtray and not give it to anybody or take it with him.
See.
So for 3 hours, I debated about it.
Yeah.
Do you know that person died in the morning?
Yes, sir.
He died. Not only did he die, my friend came to my house and knocked on my door, who was round the house that day, and said to me, "Guess what?" And I said, "Humphrey's dead." Before he even said anything, I said, "Humphrey's dead." That's how sensitive I am. That's how sensitive I am. And I believe in Eledami. That means my creator in Yoruba. I believe in Eledami that much that, you know, ever since a child, I've been going to church. Ever since a child, I was a preacher and everything, but that's after coming out of jail and everything, and preach and stuff like that, and you know, open my mind up and reading and stuff like that. But I'm saying ever since a child, I've been going to church, but the connection, the spiritual, I wouldn't even call it a spiritual connection. I would call it the inner man connected to the Creator. The inner man or your inner woman connected to the Creator. Because the word spirit only existed the other day. It wasn't around 2,000 years ago. So what I'm trying to say is that my inner man or your inner woman is connected to the Creator, and especially when a person is mentally ill, they're more vibed. They're more vibe. You know, when they're talking, sometimes they can go deep. They can carry you deep. You know what I mean? Until they lose you and find you on the wayside and pick you up again. You know? I'm serious. I'm serious. Some people can actually take you deep. I've been in mental institutions with doctors, lawyers, nurses, stuff like that. People, big people in high places. You know what I mean? Politicians. There's politicians who are mentally ill. You know, it's every field. It touches every field of life.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
Very, very true. Very true. Yeah. Anybody, feel free to ask a question. You want to ask a question, my sister? Feel free. And Leroy, if you want to ask a question, feel free. Because again, it's really but do you I think this was asked you, do you do, I know you do poetry works, do you do like workshop talk about mental health yourself?
No. The workshop is based on poetry,
Poetry.
and life changing.
Life changing, yeah.
Like today, we talk about what two people would you like to see, whether they're alive or dead. And I said I would like to see my parents because my two parents are dead. My mum and my dad is dead, so I would like to see my mum and dad. So I'm saying that, somebody said in the class that they would like to see their grandparent, their grandma. Somebody said they would like to see their future. In the future, they would like to see their grandchildren. Somebody said they would like to see the wife that they're gonna have.
Okay.
So they were just up varied. You know what I mean? So that's what I taught today. You know what I mean? And they love the class, and they're brilliant. They're brilliant. They are brilliant. Because I mean, we talk about it. I write on the board ideas, and in 20 minutes they're writing a poem. In 20 minutes they're writing a whole poem. Now it takes me a night to write a poem.
Yeah.
It takes me a night, but they're doing it in 20 minutes. So they've been taught well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They've been taught well.
Yeah.
Can I read one more poem, please?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
One more poem.
Free up yourself, man.
This is a poem about. It's called "To Love and to Hold." Like two lovers drowning their sorrows and pains of a love that's lost with nothing to gain. Years of relationship wasted away. Thoughts of reconciliation from day to day. What would it take to pacify this moment? The heavens to open and an angel to be present? We promised that we would take care of each other through all kinds of seasons and even stormy weather. Where did we go wrong? How come this love diminished after so long? Would it be true to say it's my fault for my heart went astray? When I contemplate the fate I made, will I ever find another lover whom to come to my aid? Counsel my soul with words from them which are of old. Can I never find another lover, bound by those words to love and to hold? It's called To Love and to Hold.
Okay then. Leroy, you have a question you want to ask?
Yeah, I'll just. I mean, there's a whole bunch of poems in there, and you're speaking life into them. But what got you, like? How did your writing journey actually spark?
Writing journey?
Yeah.
It was my niece actually. She said to me, "Why don't you write something?" Because when I came out of jail, I went straight to Jamaica and I learned the Bible. I learned how to present myself in the Bible.
Yeah,
I learned how to present myself in the Bible. So when I came out of jail, learned about the Bible and started to preach, but I could not read. I could not. When I say read very good, I could not read very good any other book but the Bible.
But the Bible, okay.
But the Bible.
Okay then.
You know what I'm saying? I couldn't read any other book but the Bible. So my niece, when she heard me preach, because I used to take her to church with me, she heard me preach. She said, "Why don't you write a book?" And from that day, I've been writing.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, then. And what does the future holds for you now? What's your plan now?
I want to make a film about my life.
You want to make a film about your life?
Yeah. But actually, I've given Oprah Winfrey a book, a book of mine called Liberators, and I hope that she reads it. Just to read it. I want her to turn it into a film, but if she reads it, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. You know what I mean? If she reads, that's enough. But if she turns it into a film, that's even a bonus.
Right. Okay, imagine. Yes, nice, but sister, you got
Yeah. My question is, when did you understand and recognize that you had mental health issues or the illness occurred?
As soon as I was in jail, when they beat me up and injected me. As soon as I was in jail and they beat me up and injected me, I realized that. Because, what they injected me with was so potent that when my brother came up to see me, they asked him, "Do you want us to sue? Do you want to sue us?" That's what they asked him. Do you want to sue us? Because they knew that I came in there all right. Remember, I was from London, not Birmingham, but I was in Birmingham Nick, Winson Green Nick, and that was the hardest prison in them time in England. Scotland, no, but England, yes. I mean, in fact, the same cell that I was in, Barry Prosser, this guy named Barry Prosser, came in for a weekend because he kicked down his wife's door, died in that cell. They said he slipped on a cup.
Okay then.
They said he slipped on a cup. The same cell that I was in.
Wow, that's deep. So how did you overcome that then and then move forward?
You know something? Mental illness. Mental illness is it's like cigarettes. People say I've given up cigarette, but you never give up cigarette until you actually die. Because you can go back to it 16 years later, or 17, 18 years later. So you can give it up now, but if when you die, it's then you actually give it up. Because your last, the thing that's going to kill you is not the cigarette, it's your last breath. It's not the cigarette that's going to kill you, you know, it's your last breath that's going to kill you. What I'm trying to say is that mental illness is, you never get rid of it. There's always a slight touch of it. Once you've come across it, it's always, and the medication, the side effects of the medication. I mean, drugs, synthetic drugs, and you know, I mean, all that chemicals, and you know, you have it. Some people go like this, some people go like this, some people go like this. You know, some people shake their legs, some people do, some people shake their head and they shout to themselves. And mental illness is a horrible illness, and I wouldn't call it a disease. Some people call it a disease, but it's not a disease, because a disease can be caught by touching or something like that.
It's interesting because I mean, Tamara, he might be coming, but I've got to leave here soon. So he talks about his journey, dealing with everything about depression and mental health. It's a shame he's not able to be among us, because he's got a testimonial to really share with us, because he's been this thing from a long time. So, and it'd be good to get his whole perspective and your thing about the creator, because he's very much connected to the creator and that stuff there. Leroy, you got a question?
Yeah, I was just like the theme from both the writers here is about transformation, and Kenzo touched on it. You know how the caterpillar turns into the butterfly, and it's like both your journeys are representative of that. You know, and I think for people tuning in and listening is the fact that whatever they feel like, there's a point in everybody's journey where they feel like, man, this is it. Like, what is it that turns somebody to want to, you know, like throw in the towel, you know, and, you know, just feel that their life is over. But there's a point where we have that breakthrough moment where everything changes. And I think, you know, some of the things that you've gone through, some of the things Katrina's gone through, Dougie's gone through, myself, everything's for a reason in life. And it's like, you got to get to that point where you understand that you had to go through that in order for this to happen. It's like you're not going to get to heaven unless you die. And it's like almost like, you know you need to go through something in order for you to transform and become the person you need to become. And just like listening to both your journeys, of course I know, you know, my cousin's journey more than yourselves, but you know, your journey is going to give a hope and inspiration to others who may be listening right now and feel, man alive, you know, I'm stuck. I don't know where to go to next. And, you know, and Dougie's done a great job. And, you know, from the last time I was on the airwaves here, and he had people in the studio, and one of them you touched on, what's his name? Tamra. Again, who came from, you know, again, that whole transformation. And I think, Dougie, man, you need to do like an event of people who have overcome, you know, challenges and being able to give hope to those to people who are going through the same thing, struggles, you know, whatever struggles that may be. And so, yeah, I just really wanted to interject that because, you know, I think it's a great thing that you guys have done. And same with one of the last speakers you had, Tracy. Yeah, and again, her journey, and she, you know, she's an author. And I think there's so many people that need to have that platform like you're given, where people can hear like what's going on and how people have been able to turn things around, and don't have to spend their whole life in what's it called, in therapy. You know what I'm saying, or have to be drugged up and stuff like that. But hey, there is other ways and there's solutions to that. So I really commend both of you for being able to do that.
Okay then.
Let's make a point.
Yeah, very quick, because we ain't got much time left.
All things work for good for those who love the Creator. All things work for good for those who love the Creator. Because, all right, let's look at a Bible story for one instance. Joseph, he was a slave. He was a slave. He lived in Potiphar's house. The next minute, he was the prime minister of Egypt, so they say.
Okay then. All right then. What I'm gonna do now, Leroy's in. We might have to do a part 2 because this session is so warm. You know what I mean? So much vibes. You know, and you sometimes get carried away. I'm gonna leave here very shortly. I'm gonna be somewhere else by 8 o'clock. So I don't want to do this mission here, right? But what I want to do is Leroy, let people know about the socks, please. In terms of where people can get socks, you might have to come back in and talk about the benefit of the socks. You know what I mean? But there's people listening right now who are very much interested in the socks. So, yes,
All right. Yeah, just so for those who weren't tuned in to a couple of weeks ago when I was on the radio, I'm being involved with a company that is about to make this product readily available throughout the UK, and right now we've just had a ton of testimonials and just talking about this whole thing around mental health, mental well-being, and also just natural solutions to help people in life. This is one of the products that I've been very fortunate to be working with, and it's an insole, it's a sock, it's a patch you can wear on your skin, and the product has had so many testimonials from people who have, all sorts. I mean, literally thousands of testimonials, and I can share that. Obviously, we're running out of time, but from autism, from ADHD, from people who want to feel more energized, from sports people who want to get a better edge in their craft. I've had people at the church I go to experience amazing benefits, and even to the point where some people aren't even using their walking stick because of how this product has helped them. And again, we're not making no medical claims, but once you can give the body something that it needs, the body is the miracle. But this product that I have access to is helping in a major way. And so anybody that wants to find out more, they can tune into contact Brother Dougie. They can give me a call on 074 114 93910, and we do have an opportunity for people to come and actually see more about this product. And so I would love to share that with anyone who has an interest. But the amount of testimonials I've had in people in my own personal life has just been outstanding. And even myself, I had a toothache. In fact, I broke a tooth prior to flying to Canada, and literally after finishing the painkillers I was given, I didn't want to take any more because I don't really believe in feeding the body with that kind of drugs. I decided to wear these socks. I've never actually worn them. I've sold quite a few, never worn them. And then that literally was the end of that journey of me taking anything for my pain. The socks worked amazingly well, and the patch, and now I don't even take anything. So it is quite a unique product, and we'll hopefully have another time where I can actually go into more of the medical research that's behind it. And it's really kind of stemmed from the owner having his own mother with MS, multiple sclerosis, and anything of the nervous system. This product has been, I've witnessed it for myself, has had a great benefit for those people, whether they're in pain or not. So I think I'll wrap on that. Otherwise, I will get carried away.
Okay, then. All right, then. We're going to bring this to a close, but we will we can put a pin, take the pin in back a couple of weeks' time, invite the same guests here again. And the reason, again, there will be a part 2 and then a part 3, because I feel that it's very important for us to have these discussions, and reasoning, because it's just feeding the soul. And nobody can argue that people listening to this show right now feel very smoothing, because all we do is talking our truth. We're not trying to make things pretty and whatever. We're just trying to be, just being truthful, and that's where the healing comes from, being truthful. As Kinzo said, that the sister talking her truth, and we're just ordinary people, trying to make a difference, So again, I want to give thanks and praise to the Most High, give thanks for life, give thanks for our beautiful guests inside the house, and just to reason and to share and bring some in-depth knowledge, I feel blessed because, sometimes just me one here and they put a talking thing on. Sometimes I get tired of what I talk about sometimes. You get carried away sometimes, man. But it's nice when you have other people here and which is our reason and
vibrations.
And vibration. That's what it comes down. Vibration. And most of all, we feel the love. Well, we feel the love. We feel the love. So I want to give thanks and praise to the Most High. And see each and one of you at the top where you truly, truly belong. Give thanks.